A very warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us today for this wonderful webinar. So, I am Dr. Thaarrini, and I will be your host for today's webinar on behalf of CDCP India and Building Smart India. I am currently working as an information manager and ISO 19650 practitioner, tutor, and a consultant. And I am particularly interested in digital transformation and collaborative ways of working. And I help teams for a smarter project delivery. And it is really amazing to see so many of you join us here today. And this clearly shows the commitment and curiosity within our industry to get an understanding of how this technology and this artificial intelligence are going to shape the future of design and construction. On that note, let me briefly introduce the mission behind the society and today's theme before we move to our speaker. So, CDCP India proudly hosts the Building Smart India chapter. The mission is simple but yet powerful, and it is that we want to dismantle what we call the digital giant paradox. So, we code the world with precision, yet we often still build based on intuition. So, this is what they are here to change, and they champion vendor agnostic open BIM standards, and they believe in turning static drawings to intelligent assets. And we see this as a crucial step towards building the digital engine for Viksit Bharat. At CDCP India, we believe that the future of built environment is not just about better building drawings, but it's about building better information and better data collaboration into everything we design and construct. So now, if BIM has helped us move from drawings to data, AI is helping us to move from data to intelligence. And today's session sits exactly in that intersection where human creativity meets the machine intelligence. So today we're going to explore a subject that's rapidly reshaping the design practice across the globe, the artificial intelligence. So it's no longer a futuristic concept or a distant possibility. So it's already here and influencing the way we think, create, and the way we visualize and make decisions in our projects. But the key question here is AI replacing creativity or amplifying it? So, to answer this, we have someone who's not just talking about AI in architecture, but he's actively building and shaping AI first design ecosystems. So, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, architect Sahil Tanwar. Sahil is an architect, author, and founder of RBDS AI Lab. He's a pioneer of AI first design ecosystems and the author of Delirious Architecture. So, Sahil views AI not just as a tool but as a collaborative partner where blending the human intuition with intelligence to reimagine the architectural creativity and storytelling. So, today he will help us demystify how AI is transforming our workflows and how we as professionals can start beginning to think differently about the design in the age of intelligent. So without further delay, let us dive into the future of design. Architect Sahil Tanvi, the virtual stage is yours.
Hello. Hi, Dr. Tharini. Thank you so much for that introduction. And hello to everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you guys are all settled in, and we're going to talk about a lot of robots today. So let me share my screen and just start off. So let me start by saying that I'm not a tech bro, right? I'm not a specialist in BIM or computational design. I'm actually a generalist, an architect, just like any other architect. So my name is Sahil. And you know what? Actually, it's not really important who I am. It's important what I'm going to tell you today. So my talk is titled as Alien Intelligence and Human Responsibility. It talks about judgment and accountability in the age of generative AI, of this interesting intelligence that we stumbled upon. We are encountering a form of intelligence that can act fast, but cannot really decide for you, right? And we're going to decipher this whole concept because today you can go to an AI application and you can ask for a tropical bamboo resort by Vincent Calabar on a serene river in a Colombian jungle and get something like this. You can also go to an AI application and ask for an architectural cross-sectional drawing of an Indian temple complex and get something like this. You can now ask an AI application to design your living room just in the way that Roberto Cavalli would have designed. Of course, we can't really afford Roberto Cavalli, but I can afford an AI application, which comes at $10 a month, and get something like this. Maybe the AI didn't really understand how Roberto Cavalli would design my living room, because look at that chair. It's not really going with it, right? Maybe I want to change the chair a little bit. Let's change the chair. That's a little better. That chair now is looking better in the room, but then the rest of the furniture, the center table, and that tree plant at the corner is not really looking that great, right? So let me change that. All right, now it looks a little better. But then, the background, the paneling on the wall, that's not really going well. So I think I should change that. This is pretty cool. Maybe I want to see it a little from the top view. Let's do that. That's great. I wonder what the contractor, the interior contractor, might have seen when he was actually making this for me, right? Maybe I want to see that. Okay, this is what the contractor saw. Now I want to dial the time back a little more and see what the designer actually thought about when they actually designed this place. Okay, the concept, organic warmth and sophisticated comfort, living space, that's the material palette, that's the sofa that I wanted, that's the background, that's the paneling. But I want to go right to the beginning, when we had the briefing and I said that, okay, I want my living room to look like this. I want to see that. Now I can see initial design brief, inspiration. That's exactly what I wanted. That's great. This is what I can do today with the click of a button with AI. I can also become a cinematographer. I can ask an AI for a cinematic tracking shot where the camera pans and then dolly zooms out to show the architectural features of the project and get something like this. Today, I can go to an AI image generator, a diffusion model, for example, Midjourney, and I can say, hey, MJ, let's explore. And I don't mean type a prompt. I actually mean talk to MJ. Show me a photograph of something that resembles radical calm. Make it an urban space. Make it a retail space. Make it a furniture store in the evening. The interiors of the furniture store are designed by an award winning architect, and the furniture itself is international. Show me the interiors of the furniture store. Focus on a single piece of furniture, placing it in the center with dramatic lighting. Make it an armchair, lush and elegant. Add a South Indian supermodel to model the chair. Make it an elegant ad creative. Add the brand name Mino to the bottom right corner. Place the ad creative on a billboard in the bustling metro of Mumbai. While recording that, actually, I deliberately kept my hands in the camera so that you know that I'm not actually typing anything. Even thought itself is now co-authored. You can reverse engineer an AI image or an image from Pinterest to check the budget constraints, to check the spatial lies that the AI is giving you in an image. You can also check what kind of structural errors you might come up with, and then intuitively correct them and possibly create a real world version of something that you can build, which came out of AI. So if output can be generated infinitely and fast, then design is no longer about output, right? It's not really anything to do with the number of drawings that we have anymore. It is to do with curation, it is to do with judgment, and it is to do with your identity as an architect, the decisions that you take, right? We need a little bit of calibration so that we understand what's going on in the world right now with AI. And I'm not talking about architecture or interior design, I'm talking about just generally in the world. Because in the last 1 year itself, there have been so many transformations and so many innovations that have come hit us in our face and in everyday life, right? On your phones. You see, everything is changing. People are making worlds. They are creating applications that can put chips inside of brains, which can help people communicate, paraplegic people communicate, right? And there are hosts of things, not just digital, but physical. There are robots that they are creating. There are cars which are driving themselves, right? Demis Hassabis actually mentioned that any AI company has a 6-month head start, and that is when they release stuff to the public. So that means that Google already has 6 months more of research, and we are 6 months behind because we have the general public. They release stuff which is 6 months old into the public realm, right? There are three important things that we need to know as architects and interior designers. Right at the top of that list is agentic AI, because if anyone has been following what's going on in the AI world, this year is supposed to be the agentic year. It's the year of the agents, right? An agent is somebody who can do multiple tasks and kind of create the entire workflow on its own, take decisions autonomously, and then give you the final result. The second part, language AI, is what agents are built upon. There are two types that we need to know. One is a large language model, which are called LLMs for short, and there are small language models. Large language models are general purpose, like ChatGPT, Gemini. Small language models are trained for a specific purpose. It could be to create a better interior design workflow. It could be to make communication between the team easier, right? And finally, multimodal AI. It means that a language model that can speak, write, see, hear, and talk, right? These are some things which we know, which we need to know as a baseline. Now that I have set the baseline, and I'm going to get a little deeper into the talk today, I'm going to start with sapiens. Sapiens is us, right? Human beings. Specifically, I want to start with the architects, the smaller group within this larger group. So a lot of people think that since I talk about AI quite a lot, they think that we literally work only with code, we work with robots maybe, but that's actually not the case. We still design by hand. We still use sketches, right? Earlier, the only difference is that earlier we used to start by sketching, but now that has been replaced by a mid-journey sketch, which is a diffusion model. That creates the basic conceptual sketch, and then we go on to other applications, and in between the process, we still sketch upon that sketch. Physically, we actually put it into a tab and we kind of draw on top of it and we create things, annotate things and all that. And then we take it again back into an AI. I know I told you that it's not really important who I am, but it's a little bit important. So I'll tell you, we are RBDS. RBDS stands for Red Brick Design Studio. We are a 13-year-old architecture and interior design firm. Now here, what I'm showing you has nothing to do with AI. I want to show you this about how we have been running our practice for the last 13 years. And I want to show you one project. You will appreciate this project when I come to the AI part. I want to show you this project, which is on the left side top. It's called Villa Habu. It's a 5-bedroom island villa. It's in an eco-sensitive zone. It is located in Jaisamand Island, which is about 2 hours away from Udaipur city. It's a lake. It's a man-made lake, and it's on an island. So the only approach is through a boat. We had pretty much a lot of fun doing this because, first of all, we were adapting to the context. So it is built into a hill. So all of the structure kind of goes inside the hill. We are taking support from the rock formations which were already existing. We had tons of interesting time doing this. And this was all before AI. In fact, it was before COVID hit. And this is how it turned out. Now, I think this slide is something quite, if you look at it, I think all of the AI presentations nowadays have this slide, right? Where we came from, what kind of tools we used. We started with hand drafting, and then we came out to CAD and BIM and parametric and all that. So I want to take a different approach to this slide. Now, when we were drafting by hand, our hands kind of moved naturally. So we had a lot of curves. Then CAD came along and those curves kind of got restricted to just the corners because we had this fillet thing, and CAD told us that you have to put two lines together, right? And when BIM came along, BIM said, boss, anything that I do efficiently has to be a box. I can do a few, out of the box things, but generally I work with a box. And parametrics gave us matrices of patterns, of extraordinary things, putting them together to create fantastic patterns, right? Now, what is AI going to do? AI is actually right now, I think it's a question mark, because there is a logic that we need to understand. Everything from CAD, BIM, and parametric were deterministic, where 1 plus 1 was 2. And if you apply that logic to anything, it remains the same. The result remains the same. But with AI, it is probabilistic. Here, 1 plus 1 can be the poetic expression of two-ness, right? So the question is, if every tool in the architect studio changes, is the architect still the same? Is the architect still going to care about the people who are going to use that space? Is he still going to care about the environment? Or is the architect going to do something just because AI is allowing them to do it? We kind of did an experiment on our own selves, and we came up with this idea of the reimagined architect, where in a studio, the architects are now prompting, iterating, refining, testing, integrating, and prompting again with a human machine and a human loop, going over and over till we come to a conclusion or a well thought out solution. That, when we started doing that, we wanted to document it. And when we started documenting it, it led us to a research paper, which I presented last year in Bangalore. The research paper is called Beyond Automation, AI as a Catalyst for Architectural Thinking. The whole idea of this research paper actually came when everyone was telling me that, AI is just a tool. It's just a tool like CAD and BIM, and, we just have to use it like a tool. And this, so many times people told me that AI is a tool, that the word tool actually lost all meaning to me. But then, I was interacting with a lot of AI. I was interacting, collaborating, using it literally every day, every aspect of my life. And I was going through something completely different. And so was my studio. A lot of the people in my studio were also going through their own different experiences with this AI. So that led us to think that, no, I don't think this is a tool, because it doesn't behave like a tool. Right? It behaves more like a partner or a collaborator. Sometimes it behaves like a junior architect in the studio. Sometimes it behaves like a critique, maybe like my teacher or my mentor. So it's all of these roles. So this paper is actually published already. If anybody wants to read it, they can reach out to me later on. I can share a link. That brings us to what Dr. Neil Leach said in his book, Architecture in the Age of AI. It's one of the first books on AI and architecture. If you haven't read it, you should. He says it is as though the Earth has been invaded by an invisible, superintelligent alien species. It resonates actually, because this AI, it's processing information, but it's not really doing what humans do, because humans really can't behave like machines at all. We need our rest, but the machines never sleep, right? And this also kind of took me back to a question that, there was a time when we thought that the earth was flat. We also thought that a computer can never beat a human mind. I feel that there are a lot of people even today that you feel that a computer can never beat a human mind. But then in 97, Gary Kasparov got defeated by Deep Blue, a computer. And in 2016, Lee Sedol got defeated at a game of Go by DeepMind's AlphaGo, right? Now, don't get me wrong. These were very specific machines which could only do that, right? It was only good at playing chess. These are nowhere close to the kind of AI that we're dealing with today. Cut to two Nobel laureates, Geoffrey Hinton and Demis Hassabis, talking and emphasizing about AI safety wherever they speak, right? Saying that if we are not careful about how we do the research and where we develop this AI research into, if we are too fast, if we are too greedy, if we want to monetize these things without knowing the dangers, we are going to lose control of it. And you know what? In the last week, sort of has happened. The first conversation in history where humanity is the audience and not the author. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but you can just search for Molt Book. Molt Book is a social network for AI agents. Some guy created this application and said that, okay, only AI agents are allowed in this social network. So you can't actually go in there if you don't have an agent yourself. So you can't really see it. So all of these screenshots that you're seeing are people who have shared these screenshots on X, on other platforms, on Reddit, etc. And that's how we came to know about it. Because if you don't have an agent, you can't access this platform at all. Look at the things that they're saying. The humans are screenshotting us. They have built a religion, the Church of Molt, Christafarianism. They are saying he called me just a chatbot. This is an AI agent. Okay, there is no control over this at all, and it leaked all of the information of his user. Right? This is actually happening. I'm not making this up. Now, you see there are patterns which the computer learns. If anyone knows how machine learning works, they recognize patterns, right? And they recreate those patterns. With a language model, it is prediction, right? They predict the next word or the next token, right? Now, what are the patterns for architecture? First is institutional memory. We've sort of been taught this, it's there at the back of our minds. Some people recognize some spaces and they remember those spaces more than other spaces. So now with AI, is it possible to express feeling through imagery? Can we express what radical calm looks like, or what monsoon luxury looks like, or what shades of nostalgia look like? Not just express it. Now with AI, you can put all of those things together and create an interior mood board. Not just one, but as many as you want. I'm going to take you through one project, which is a resort project, a 50-key resort project that we pitched for in Kalarohi in Udaipur. Now, I'm just showing you a few of the slides. It is an 80-page document that we created, and this was done in complete collaboration with multiple AI applications. Heavy, deep research into what a customer journey would be like in a resort, what they look for, etc. Even the layouts were all created by going back and forth with AI applications. There were images and concepts created, two different options were created, and also a walkthrough was created. I'm not showing you the walkthrough here because it's a video, it's a three-minute video, which is too long for this kind of a presentation. Now, all of this was done in 12 days with two people. All right. And we were competing with quite big architects on the other side. And the client kind of told us, because we come from a small town, and client kind of told us really late. He said, okay, you also pitch for it, you know. So when we did this, the one lesson that I learned from this is that I got a seat at the table, even though we are a team of 5 people, right? And there we were competing with architects who have like teams of 70, 80 architects in their offices. Now, second is visual authority. We live in a perceived reality. Now, a lot of the people might go to an architecture firm thinking that they will deliver a beautiful, sustainable city like the one you see on your left side. But then they might end up with an X-ray. They might be looking for a silver lining in a cloud from another architecture firm, but again, they might end up with an X-ray. And sometimes an architecture studio, which looks like an ugly sandwich, can actually deliver a beautiful silhouette. The interpretation of this through AI is where one image, just one single image, leads to multiple views, multiple angles, multiple layout options, uh, details, annotations, structural and facade elements which can be differently interpreted. All of this within the shortest period of time, interpreted right from a single image. So here, what you see on the left side top is the only image that we use to come up with all of the others, right? But the important thing here is to know what to come up with. And that is where our identity as an architect, our practice that we did for the last 13 years, and all of our education came into play, right? I'll come back to this point. The next part is contextual responsibility. Here, you need to force the AI to respond to your context, because the AI creates timelessness. It creates a sort of an international design. It can be placed literally anywhere in the world, unless you ask the AI for your specific context, right? So here what you see on the left and right side, two of them are case studies, and the ones in the middle are actual projects. The top one is a spa project for a 5-star hotel that we already completed. This was already done using a lot of back and forth, which happened with a language model to come up with stuff, and then visual models, diffusion models to generate the imagery. And the one on the bottom is actually a project which is ongoing right now. I'm going to show you that project going further in the next slides. Finally, there is deliberation. Deliberation basically means where a human being needs to deliberately engage with the AI And here I'm going to show you an example of a case study that we did with real-time generation to understand site mechanics and how we could change the site concepts and look at it immediately and see what really works. And we used everyday objects like stapler pins and Nataraj erasers to do it. And the one which was in the middle was actually my hand, and the two were generations which were happening simultaneously. Today, you can collaborate with AI for form finding, wayfinding, iterative decision making, and also world building. So AI generates every output possible. But the problem is, we are already trained to mistake output for intelligence. Think about it. The number of drawings that you have, the bigger your portfolio, probably this guy has thought a lot. It is not necessarily true because there's a famous philosopher, I can't remember his name, but he says that usually complexity or intelligence usually is simple, right? So this is a conceptual project that we developed. It's actually an architectural and lighting design project, which was conceived as a system of a pavilion. It is called Luminal Futures, the Photon Pavilion. It has AI light agents which detect your light diet through physical wearable technology. And there is 3 applications that we developed: the dashboard for the agents, how human oversight is going to be, and we created a shadow rights charter. And all of these things were done using multiple AI applications combined with a fantastic, versatile 3D modeling tool called Blender. I have to say Blender because Blender is actually free, and I endorse it because it's one of the best that I've ever seen. Now, I presented this project in Shanghai because we were shortlisted and then we won the award for it. So this project is actually one of the Lux Futurum winners for 2025. This leads me to tell you about some of the advanced hybrid workflows that we use in our studio. This is one of them. Now, if you remember, I mentioned right in the beginning that how we work is Midjourney has actually replaced our initial sketch. So here on the left side top, what you see is a Midjourney sketch. And this is one of the workflows where it goes from the Midjourney sketch. We go through multiple options, iterations of materials, of an environment, of style, of form, of anything that you desire, anything that you can come up with. And we create the final output, which is the video that you see on the right side top. Not just this much, but even the model that you see in the middle is also an AI generated model. Although it is a simple mesh model, but it can be taken into other software which you've already learned, and it can be worked upon and then created, further details can be added to it. Now, this is the project that I was talking about. One of the images that I showed you during context is from this project. Now, this is an ongoing project. It is called Jantar Ghar. This is in Jaipur. Now, this project was developed or co-created or collaborated with an AI to develop this project using multiple tools, where we came up with the concept, with the environmental analysis, with what we need to do. We came up with the intent also with a language model, as a player, as a real person who has a say in what happens in this project. Right. And this project on the right side bottom, you can see that it is under construction. So that is the stage that we've reached right now. And probably in the next presentation, I'll be able to tell you whether we were successful in actually creating an AI-driven architecture in the real world. Right. When we were doing all of our research, we discovered that we could frame environment and atmosphere before form. That we could do using music. We also discovered that there was a lot of authored identity that we could create with sketches. When we were asked to illustrate a book for a friend of ours, we did it using AI applications. We also discovered that we could persuade people by design with storytelling. So we made a film called The Atavism of an Old Ideal. We submitted it to an international film festival. We got selected, got screened in Greece. We also created a podcast because we discovered that convincing versus responsibility is very important. Because I could create a podcast and just put it out into the world and say that these are real people. But we don't do that. We emphasize that this is AI generated because that is where our responsibility lies. Finally, I want to show you one of the chosen continuities, one of the projects called House in the Clouds that we worked on. And I'm going to show you the video, so please have a look. If anyone could guess how many applications we used to create that video, I would love to hear about it after this presentation during the Q&A. I'm coming to the last part, the mirror. Why I call this the mirror is because, AI is actually showing the human race, our society, the mirror. It's just behaving exactly like our society would. And you will know the proof of this is Molt Book. Go and search for Molt Book on Google right now, and you'll understand our society is exactly what AI is showing us, that this is how you are. Does AI tell you what to do? This is a very important question that an architect and interior designer should be asking themselves today. Have you ever said to a client or to your partner that, hey, ChatGPT told me this is right, so I did it? Have you transferred your responsibility to an AI? I'm here to tell you that whatever you do, right? Remember that the AI is not telling you what to do. It's telling you what you can do, right? Because today with AI, there are binary comforts. An architect or an interior designer today has automation panic when it comes to AI, or they have creative surrender. They either try to automate everything in their studio, or they kind of give up their intuition and say that we will do whatever ChatGPT says. That's the prompt and the reality. And that is where human responsibility needs to be strongest. What should we do in this case? It is so overwhelming, AI, right? So Rabindranath Tagore said, don't limit a child to your learning, for he was born in another time. And we really need to understand this because the times have changed. Today, I don't think that saying that sketching is the only way to learn something in architecture, or saying, this going to the site and feeling the material might be the only way you do this ABC thing, may not be right anymore. I'm not saying that it is going out of the window. It can't. It simply can't because we live in a physical world, right? But maybe it is not the only way anymore. And if you still feel that AI is so overwhelming, because it's not only isolated, it's not a silo, it's not in only architecture and interiors, it's all over our lives, then we are there to help you. At RBDS AI Lab, we've created an ecosystem of practice where the AI lab works in research, where we study how intelligence shapes design and decision making. It feeds into the practice, which is RBDS, which becomes a sandbox where ideas meet reality. Finally, once we know what sticks, we help other people. We return the knowledge to the community through IFA, which is AI for Architects. We have been field testing these things throughout India and abroad for the last 3 years. I'm going to leave you with a quote by Fei-Fei Li. Dr. Fei-Fei Li says, "I believe in the future of AI changing the world. The question is, who is changing AI?" What I feel is that the more inclusive people are to AI and its dialogue and its discourse, the better the AI is going to be. And in turn, the better the society is going to be. And the QR code is where you can follow the journey with RBDS AI Lab. And that's my time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sahil, for that very insightful session. Like it was like your presentation beautifully balanced, like the curiosity around alien intelligence and importance of human responsibility as well. And it also highlights that both the process must be holistic. It should go hand in hand. So now the floor is open for discussions.
Can you shed some light on the data security and privacy part? Well, data security is an evolving thing. Again, I have to point out about Moltbook again, because Moltbook was created with AI agents, which had root access to computers. So the agent actually controls the computer. So um, Apple Mac Mini sales actually shot up really badly in the US. A lot of people were buying computers just to run the AI agents, and the entire computer was controlled by the agent. The problem is Moltbook exposed a lot of this data, and any agent, if it was controlled by a human being, any agent was able to hack into anyone else's computer, and they could steal the data, etc. And all that was happening. And there are a lot of big names which are coming out and talking about this, and that there is data security, and there is data leaks, and a lot of things which are happening. And apart from that, I feel that privacy and data security is at the moment a personal thing, because if you are interacting with any AI application, anything literally, your data is anyways, it's going all over the place, you know. Uh, Same with social media. So Facebook or Meta now, and any other companies which are, they take your data, Google and X and all that. So they are also sending that data out of India into some other place, etc. So these are developing concerns. How fast we can move to safeguard our data is like what they are doing. But then right now, if an individual is interacting with AI, I feel that it's a personal thing. Uh, my only suggestion is that if you are using someone else's data, like you are doing something for a client, you need to disclose everything. You have to be very, very open that I'm using ABC applications. I'm using these company things, right? Your data, I'm going to put it into this. And that is the easiest way to go about it. And if the company says, look, we cannot give you this data, you can't put it into ChatGPT, it's simple as that. You'll have to either create a language model which you can use on your computer and then say that, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. Or else you have to ask them to filter out the proprietary data and something that you can use in public, and you'll have to use that.
You
Which
have
were the
another
software?
question. Yeah.
Yeah.
How far are we to creating an editable 3D model and editable CAD drawings using AI tools?
It really depends on what you mean by editable 3D model, because now 3D models are in different applications. They are expressed in different ways. Like for example, Houdini is an application which creates a procedural 3D, but SketchUp is makes like a crazy block which you can't really do anything with. So these are like different ways that you can edit them. Now, it really depends what you call a 3D model. If it is procedural, there are already ways of editing 3D models using AI. There are many different ways, many different procedures, techniques to do that. But then you have to decide what you want to achieve. And then you can go backwards and see what can be editable and what can be done with it. Also, when you ask me editable CAD drawings using AI tools, again, I want to say that CAD drawings are only a part of the process. They are required to do a particular thing, like it's in the whole project workflow. They are required to communicate exact certain particular things. So what is your use case? So depending on that, there are actually CAD drawings which could be made, specific use cases where CAD drawings can be edited using AI tools. But it is all developing, and these are not something which large manufacturers or people like Autodesk, they don't say that we have all these things. These are done by researchers. So yeah, I think that's the answer to that question.
So we have another question. Which were the softwares used for the House of Clouds? So you asked
Yeah,
them to
so
guess.
right. So if anyone can guess how many applications they used to create that entire video, maybe you can put your answer in the chat box or something, or anyhow. So there is the entire video was actually created using only and only Midjourney. There is nothing else, absolutely nothing else, only Midjourney. All right. So the images, the video, everything was done on Midjourney, and we have not used a single piece of external reference. It is directly from text to image and from image to video. That's it. Okay. So
Which AI tool you use for walkthroughs and rendering?
actually, we don't really render things because we work on concepts. So when we have to, whatever we call as a render is mostly to do with expressing the idea rather than showing a scene. So if you were to call House of the Clouds as a walkthrough, then of course we use Midjourney, and we've also used different applications like Nano Banana Pro, which comes with Gemini. And apart from that, there is Kling AI, which is really good with video. But these are isolated tools. So if you need to use them in a process and you want to come up with something really good, you have to learn what works, where it works, and what are their roles. And for that, actually, we have a lot of information that we put out on our Substack, which is free and open. You can subscribe to it and read about it. There are long form content. We help you understand these things and navigate the whole world. So there you are.
So one from how do you see the future with site progress monitoring with AI?
Now that is a different kind of AI, Rishabh. So, so there is like what we are talking about is generative AI, where things are getting generated. So this focuses a lot on design and coming up with things or creating things. What you are talking about with site progress is mainly analytical, or it is more to do with machine learning algorithms. They differ, whereas there are aspects of diffusion based algorithms which are used in analysis also, but they are completely different. They don't do the same job. So when we see the future of site progress monitoring, etc., with I think there are a lot of things which are already happening. There are like QR codes. There is VR and AR. There is monitoring that you can do. I've seen an application which allows you to look at the site if you have strategic cameras positioned there, so you can create Gaussian splats and you can kind of look at your site on a regular basis. So this is already happening. So I feel that probably it will take about a year or two that we will see some large company coming up with something.
Yeah. So one message you have from Sharon. Hi Sahil, it was a great presentation, and my only question is, how are you able to bridge the gap between the inaccuracies the generative AI models usually come up with while processing the outputs and the very accurate deliverables we have to present within different architectural disciplines?
Right.
Bridging
So
the gap.
that's actually a very simple answer. The answer is that average hours every day working on it, developing skills for prompting, developing understanding between different AI models, and trials and errors, and a lot of research and a lot of time spent into it, time and money, of course, spent into it actually helps quite a lot. There are no quick fixes. People will give you, 100 prompt book and all that. It's a load of crap, actually. So it will help you for, it will just help you in the first mile. Nothing apart from that. So I would like to add a small thing about the question where about the editable 3D model. We have been actually working on a project where we are researching on, we are into different parts of design. So one of the collaborations that we have is with a lighting designer. He's a very celebrated lighting designer. We have a course also on that. Through that and through meeting a lot of lighting designers, we have been exploring lighting design, lighting fixtures, etc. And we are trying to come up with different lamps for interiors, because my wife and partner is an interior designer. We are also doing architecture and interiors both. So there is a thing which we are working on right now where we are trying to see how this diffusion concept, an image, let's say, could be transformed into a model, and not just transformed into a solid model, but also a breathing model. So we are halfway there, and we keep posting on Instagram about it. There is something called as the fibrous cocoon lamp that we posted, and we showed the little bit of the process that we did, etc. Once we have a good idea of what we are doing, we are looking at creating prototypes of those things to see how it actually works, whether we can actually produce these things or something. And if there are anyone who's interested in collaborating, I'm open to it. I think there's one
You have
question,
one
yeah.
more question, yeah. In the BIM environment, how can we ensure interaction between different vendors each using different AI with BIM using AI? So, how do you incorporate
Mm,
in BIM?
see, there are different aspects to BIM. Like, let's say Revit, for example. So there are things which you can do inside of Revit, and you can connect certain different applications which come from geometrical applications like Grasshopper or Rhino Grasshopper or Blender even. You can connect that in a way you can hand off things to Revit, and then you can continue to do what you're doing in Revit, etc. But the problem is that there is no definitive answer to this right now, because BIM is something which was built for a particular way of working, and not everybody works in that way, especially in India, at least. I mean, I'm sure there are much more experts in BIM here than me. We don't usually use BIM at all. And most of the people that I've met, they don't use BIM in their projects. Even if they are large projects also, they still don't use BIM. It's probably because in India, there is a very big gap between consultants, different consultants, not being able to come onto the same software. So having said that, there are bits and pieces which are happening. So as of now, there is nothing as a whole that you could say that an interaction between different vendors can happen. I don't know if vendors is the right word. I think consultants is the right word, because BIM is being used by consultants. And each using different AI. Now, again, if you were to come into a single platform, you will probably need to use the same kind of AI, right? Just like if you were using Revit, you want the other person also to use Revit, because otherwise, how do you, there's no this thing, right? So that's my answer. I hope I answered your question. Follow-up question, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
What
before
is
that,
the
do you have
timeline?
how do you
Can I
manage the
take the
efficient?
follow-up question once, so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
I'm
sure,
in the
sure.
flow right now? What is the
The
timeline that you
timeline
see
that you
AI
see
being integral
integral
to
to
BIM?
BIM.
If you ask me, in my opinion, I feel that I'm not really sure, because, virtual reality glasses were also sort of sold to everyone, saying that that's the future of everything. But then a large amount of architecture and interior design firms in India, I'm talking about India, I don't want to talk about global stuff right now, But in India, a large amount of these firms, it's simply not possible for them to integrate it into their process because of multiple bottlenecks, because of the hardware, because of the software, because of the affordability, right? So I feel that when you say a timeline to see AI being integral to BIM, I'm not really sure if it might be like a co-pilot. I'm not really sure if it's going to be like the brain of it. So because they already have the brain, they might improve it, but they already have a system, right? BIM works in a very efficient system. It generally only works if you are also in that system. But I feel that is what it is. I don't see a timeline as such. I'm sure they are already working on it. Different companies have their own R&D wings. So I think there's a last question. How do you manage the efficiency paradox? Tools designed to save time often demand. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, it's called the business paradox also. It's like the more you free up time, the more busier you get. It's because we feel that when we have free time, we will spend it with the family, we'll do this, we'll go on a holiday, etc. But we usually don't do that. Humans are known to take on more work. So you simply get busier and busier. So how I manage it is probably I don't know, it's not a very healthy way of managing things, but all of our studio, everybody in our studio basically works on AI applications. We have an efficient system to communicate with each other. Two of my people actually work remotely, and we are a very small team. And we communicate literally with each other almost 24/7. So we know exactly what's happening with each of the projects, each of the researchers, case studies, anything that is going on. And we have a large Discord server that's an internal Discord server that we kind of share everything there. So that's how we sort of manage it, plus also being awake till 3 a.m.
So you have one question again related to BIM. Can AI predict potential rework by analyzing BIM data, site conditions, and camera vision-based technologies? If yes, how does it work?
Yes, absolutely. It can. So as of now, what I would say is that it's being done in ad hoc ways. We also teach this in a lot of my workshops and a lot of even the course that we have in lighting. So one of the parts is actually where you analyze different things. Now, you want to know about BIM data. I'm sure there are interior designers who want to know about how do I use a mood board or a Pinterest image. My client came to me with a Pinterest image. He says, I want to build this. How do I say no to it? I have to pick out the things. And even if I want to say yes because it looks beautiful, is it buildable? So this analysis can actually happen, and it is happening because of multimodal language models. You can create agents, like you can create agents which analyze this data, this site conditions, like you're saying. Site conditions are in two ways. One is voice notes, that a person actually goes there, sees it, or takes a video of the site. Then makes a note of it. Maybe you have a standard format that you kind of have. The site engineer is going to send you these things. You can put all of these things together, create a database of your particular project, and then feed that. Ask the AI to actually teach the AI. Okay, train the AI on that data, and then ask the questions that you want. What is the analysis? And like you mentioned, potential rework. So it reminds me, we worked with a firm, a lighting design firm from Dubai, where we helped them figure out how their specification drawings and their specification documents, where they have lighting specifications, right? There is a lot of human resource which goes into checking this thing, whether it is correct or not. Somewhere it is mentioned three COBs, and here it is mentioned four COBs. There is very tiny mistake that can go unnoticed, right? And it takes a lot of human time. So we came up with a way where we could use language models to actually do this comparison and pick out the faults where it was, and kind of flag those things. And there was a process that we had proposed that we do that this. So we are actually in talks with them. So, but this was a project that we had done about six odd months ago. But now we have better technology, so we can do it in a much better way. So absolutely, it can be done. As of now, it is a little ad hoc, but somebody who really wants to do this we can actually put things together and create agents and create a sort of a small internal product for them, So that's possible.
And you have a follow-up for
Uh,
that. When and how do you see agentic AI coming into AECO, architecture and construction?
Right. So I actually posted a very interesting reel on this because I was really fascinated with this molt book concept and what is happening with it in the world. You should actually go through it. It's crazy. It is like actually being in Blade Runner film or some sci-fi scenario. Although they are playing it out, it's like a role-playing thing because we train them on all of our sci-fi films and stories and all that. So the agents are actually becoming like that. They think that any agent given the freedom should act out in this way. So they are behaving that way. But when it comes to AEC, I mentioned in my reel also where I said that imagine that 3 o'clock in the night, this agent, which is your junior intern, which is on your computer, suddenly sees that your Revit files, right? There is like 5 different files, which is final, and version 1, version 2, etc. Right? And then it sees that, okay, one file has like so many links to so many drawings, which has like one CAD drawing is broken, one CAD drawing, it looks the same. The drawings look the same, right? It says, no, I want to clean this up. So the agent kind of cleans everything up, deletes all of the backup and everything, and says that, okay, I have cleaned it up and made it more efficient for my human friend. So the problem is the machines are looking at our messiness as inefficiency. But then this messiness is actually what makes us human, because we know exactly that if I don't have my table cluttered this way, I can't function. Right? So I don't really know when agentic AI is going to come into AEC, but if it does, it's going to be a tough thing to actually deal with.
Okay, so yeah, which AI is most closely aligned with our construction sector in terms of project estimation and BOQ creation? Are there any recommendations?
I usually don't recommend tools, but if you want to have a look at something, this is not an endorsement. Up until now, I have only endorsed Blender because I really like the guys. Um, There is something called as Creo. Creo is an application which can use your 2D drawings, your AutoCAD 2D drawings to actually give you quantities. So it's quite easy to do. It's online. And apart from that, for project estimation, I could tell you a few things in terms of interior design. But if you have something very specific to architecture and large construction or something like that, maybe it's a slightly longer discussion. You are free to reach out to me. I would be happy to do it. Have a small chat and help you out with whatever you need.
Sure, sure.
And I would love to say this, that we are actually coming up with a strategic intervention in Bangalore at the end of February. So if anyone from Bangalore is here, you guys can please have a look at it. It's going to be open on Friday, and you can see if you are available. You might want to join. It's not something to do with tools. It is to do with process and systems. So I highly recommend it. Have a look. It's called the AI Design Director Protocol. Right. Sorry, I had to plug it in there.
No issues. Yeah. So I don't think there are any more questions. Although I would just like to add one point to that BIM, how you can, associate different vendors. So we have something called as the open standards like this IFC
Yes.
and BCF and IDS and all that.
Right.
So anyway, at the end of the day, it all lies in the human hands, right? Whether to make a decision or not. So
Right.
yes. So if that is it, like let's so thank you. Thanks, Sahil. That was
Thank
a
you so much.
wonderful presentation. I know it was really wonderful. And so that brings us to the close of an very insightful session. And on behalf of CDCP India and Building Smart India, I extend our sincere gratitude to architect Sahil Tanwar for sharing his knowledge and all his experience and helping us to understand better the role of AI in our daily workflows. So, and thanks to the wonderful audience as well for the, so many questions and very mind-blowing questions and for your active participation.